watching Me TV Baltimore. Now, live, local, late breaking. This is WBAL TV 11 News at 10.
Right now on 11 News at 10, did security measures backfire in the case of Germanwings Flight 9525? European aviation safety agencies weigh in on new measures after the plane crashed earlier this week. And the very latest on the condition of a Boston police officer shot in the face during a routine traffic stop. And a man wanted for murder in South Carolina is discovered during a traffic stop here in Baltimore. Good evening, everyone. I'm Karen Campbell. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, let's get a check on the weather with meteorologist Tony Pan. Tony?
Hi, Karen. Good evening, everyone. We are setting up for a cold night tonight, close to record low temperatures, I think, by tomorrow morning. Let's take a look at the current conditions. Things have quieted down as far as snow shower and snow flurry activity goes, and the sky is clearing. It's down to 28 already at the airport, 27 in Westminster. The record low tomorrow morning is 18. We're going to drop to 18 or 19, I think, in most areas to start the day on Sunday. The good news is there'll be plenty of sunshine and the winds are going to die down. Expect a high of 48 in the afternoon, but a normal high is 58. We do have a nice warm up in the 7-day forecast. I'll show you that in just a few minutes.
And now let's get to our big story tonight. A man wanted for murder in South Carolina is behind bars in Baltimore tonight. Maryland Transportation Authority police took him off the streets. 11 News reporter Vanessa Herring joins us with the details. Vanessa?
Well, Karen, an officer was on patrol around 2 this morning when he noticed a car without its lights on. And what started out as a routine stop turned into a major arrest. A South Carolina man's run from the law came to an end on I-95 in Baltimore. A busted headlight led police to arrest the suspected killer.
They stopped the vehicle to conduct a further investigation, and they revealed in the vehicle actually was a gentleman, Mr. Jeremiah Poe.
This is an old mugshot of 19-year-old Jeremiah Poe. When police ran an open warrant search, they found out he was wanted on homicide charges in South Carolina. Sergeant Glenn McGuire says Poe was armed when he was stopped.
They conducted further investigation into the vehicle and recovered 2 weapons in the vehicle as well. One was a .40 caliber handgun, the other was a 9mm handgun.
Police in Columbia, South Carolina say Poe gunned down 17-year-old Eric Washington nearly 2 weeks ago at a park, and investigators believe Poe is the man in this surveillance picture. Washington was a high school senior and Army National Guard enrollee. Investigators say the shooting stemmed from an earlier incident.
I know in my heart that if my baby knew that danger was waiting for him, he wouldn't have been there. I didn't get to say goodbye. I didn't get to hug him, to kiss him. My last words with Eric before he left to play basketball, before I left, was, I love you, Mom, I'll be back. And that's what I have to live with now.
Poe was sent to central booking and will be extradited to South Carolina.
It is a wonderful arrest to actually get something like this and actually take a person of this nature off of the streets.
One other person has been arrested in the case. Police in South Carolina arrested 19-year-old Jameer Taylor in connection to Washington's death. Police say Poe also had marijuana and Xanax when he was caught. It's not clear when he'll be sent back to South Carolina. Live in the studio, Vanessa Herring, WBAL TV 11 News.
Police in Prince George's County believe an armed robbery near the University of Maryland campus was not random. Police say it happened early this morning, just before 4 o'clock along Knox Road, just a 5-minute walk from the Washington Quad on the College Park campus. 3 men reportedly forced their way into an apartment armed with a knife and a BB gun and robbed 5 students inside. 1 student sustained minor injuries. All 3 suspects fled the scene. In an 11 News update, Baltimore City detectives are investigating a traffic stop that ended with an officer firing his service weapon Friday night. The department tells us the officer tried to stop the car near Mount St. Joseph's High School around 9 p.m., but the driver refused to stop, then hit a marked patrol car in a nearby parking lot. There was an officer inside that car. We are told an officer on the scene fired his weapon while other officers were attempting to arrest the driver. No one was hit by the gunfire and the suspect was taken into custody. In Boston, a police officer remains in critical condition after being shot in the face during a traffic stop Friday night. Chris Ballone has more on this story.
Boston police officer John Moynihan is in critical condition after being shot in the face during a traffic stop Friday night. Police Commissioner William Evans says the former Army Ranger and Iraq War veteran is in a medically induced coma. the bullet still lodged below his ear. It happened in the city's Roxbury neighborhood just before 7. A half-dozen police officers approached a stopped car. Evans says what happened next was caught on surveillance video.
As the driver is getting out of the motor vehicle, you can see his right arm come up, point blank, and shoot Officer Moynihan right below the eye. At that point, officers gave chase. The suspect here continued to fire.
Police returned fire, shooting and killing the suspect. His name is Angelo West, a 41-year-old from Boston. Police say he had several prior gun convictions. 2 other people in the car have unrelated charges pending against them. Boston police say Moynihan is a 6-year veteran of the force, a 2014 Boston Police Medal of Honor winner, and a recipient of the nation's Top Cops Award for performing life-saving measures on another officer after the Watertown, Massachusetts shootout with the Boston Marathon bombing suspects.
We're just all very lucky that he's still with us today.
Moynihan's family is with him in the hospital as they and fellow officers hope for his full recovery. Chris Pallone, WBAL TV 11 News.
30 investigators are now combing the crash site of Germanwings Flight 9525 for remains and the contents of the plane's second black box. Prosecutors believe the co-pilot intentionally crashed the plane in the French Alps after locking the pilot out of the cockpit. Now the European Aviation Safety Agency is talking about its research on reinforced cockpit doors installed after the 9/11 attacks.
We looked at events where the reinforced doors created safety problems, and we looked at cases where the reinforced doors actually saved the airplane, and the result is quite balanced.
The agency is now recommending a rule that 2 people must remain in the cockpit at all times, a rule airlines in the U.S. already follow. French prosecutors say co-pilot Andreas Lubitz hid evidence of an illness from his employers, including a sick note for the day of the crash. And still ahead on 11 News at 10, 7 people are shot during a house party in Panama City Beach, Florida. Plus, hundreds march in protest of Indiana's new religious freedom law, why some say it opens the doors to discrimination.